dear friends, welcome to Saturn in House 8 Part 2. Today we'll look at the various aspects that Saturn will cast on the various houses of your chart according to Nadi astrology. Do subscribe to my channel and if you want consultation, my WhatsApp number is there in the video description. So friends, Saturn in the 8th house. Before going to the aspects, I would like to mention one very important point. Saturn rules two zodiac signs, Capricorn and Aquarius. Okay, now you also have to see where those two signs are falling in the chart. Saturn will be the lord of those two houses. Yes, say you are a Taurus ascendant, then Saturn is the lord of the 9th house and the 10th house. You are a Taurus ascendant, and if Saturn is in the 8th house, then Saturn is the lord of 9th and 10th. So if you know Saturn is the lord of which houses, then it will be easier for you to understand Saturn's position in the 8th house better, and also it will be easier for you to also understand what kind of results Saturn will give you pertaining to certain areas of your life. Okay, so friends, say Saturn is the lord of the first house and is sitting in the 8th house. First house is also the house of our health, and Saturn is seated in the 8th house. So, lord of the first house is also called the Lagna lord. So, Saturn is the Lagna lord and sitting in the 8th house. Then the native's health may not remain good. Sometimes he may suffer from some illness quite often, or you can say that he may not have a very sound health, or maybe he may have some disease, and he may be under some treatment. That also may be there. Or his health will be like, he may seem to be, sometimes it's also seen that he may seem to be healthy, but actually the native may not be very healthy. He may have a weak immunity. That also we can say, because the Lagna lord is now sitting in the 8th house. Yes, 8th house is the house of ups and downs, upheavals. Yes, it is also the house of sorrow and pain and obstacles. 8th house is a Dusthana. It is called a malefic house. Yes, it is regarded to be a malefic house or an evil house. Yes, and now the Lagna lord or the ascendant lord or the lord of the first house is seated in the 8th house. Then what will happen? You can expect such things. Yes, as ups and downs will be there maybe throughout your life. You will have to encounter obstacles throughout your life. That also we can say if the Lagna lord is in the 8th house. Now friends, if Saturn is the lord of the second house and it is seated in the 8th house, then you may have a problematic relationship with your family members. Your speech, may not be very, it may not be very sweet and soothing. It may be a little harsh and very to the point. That also we can say. And also friends, the second lord is seated in the 8th house. So the native may have some eyesight problem, some problem related to his eyes or throat problem. That also we can say. Now friends, if Saturn is the lord of the third house and seated in the 8th house, then the native may have some problem in his hand. Some problem he may have in his hand, he might have. Or you can say, some problem may be there in his shoulder. That also we can say. Some problem in communication, yes, which he has to overcome with time. That also we can say. Now friends, if Saturn is the lord of the 4th house and seated in the 8th house, then lack of mental peace at home, yes, that will be there. That you can say. And also 4th house, so the 4th house lord is in the 8th house. So you can say that the native may have some heart problem, some chest infection or heart problem may be there, any kind of heart disease, even breathing problem may be there. Then friends, say Saturn is and it may have a problematic relationship even with the mother. 4th house lord is in the 8th house. 5th house lord in the 8th house, then we can say a problematic relationship with the child, difficulty in childbirth, or we can say that some problem related to stomach, because 5th house also in the chart of the Kalpurush or cosmic man stands for the stomach. So some stomach related problems, gastric trouble and all, yes, will be there. even digestion problems. Then let us say if Saturn is the lord of the 6th house and sitting in the 8th house, this is called a Viparit Rajyog in Parashari astrology. It is called a Viparit Rajyog when the lord of an evil house is sitting in another evil house. It is called a Viparit Rajyog. So then what happens, it is even if you have a disease and all, Saturn will enable you to come out of that disease, because 6th lord is in the 8th house. So yes, definitely the native may have some disease, but if Saturn is in good dignity in the 8th house, then definitely Saturn will enable you to come out of that disease in due course of time, because Viparit Rajyog will be created. Then friends, what else we can say? And over time you will also win over your enemies. Your enemies will not be able to harm you. Yes, you will have a victory over them. Then if Saturn is the lord of the 7th house and seated in the 8th house, then what we can say, friends? Then some problems are related to the reproductive organ may be there, even kidney or lower back, some problem, health problem related to that. Problems in your marital life may be there, ups and downs, upheavals in marital life, upheavals in your independent business. Yes, the business that you do in legal partnership with someone, some problem may be there. Then friends, if Saturn is the lord of the 8th house and seated in the 8th house, again this is the lord of the malefic house is seated in that malefic house itself. This is again a Viparit Rajyog situation. So it is generally considered to be good. Saturn will delay all the negative things that you see with the 8th house. All the negative things will be restricted drastically by Saturn. All obstacles, even diseases, everything will be restricted by Saturn. All losses that also we see from the 8th house, Saturn will restrict them. Accidents will be restricted. Even your sorrow, everything can be diminished by Saturn. So this is again a Viparit Rajyog. It is not that if Saturn is a lord of the 8th house seated in the 8th house, the native will not have any problems. It's not that. That is why it is called Viparit Rajyog. That means Viparit means opposite. That means you will have to face adverse circumstances. No doubt you will face them, but something opposite will happen. That is, you will face those circumstances and something unexpected will happen, which was beyond your expectation, because suddenly Saturn will enable you to come out of that problem. Saturn will definitely enable you to come out of that problem, especially over time, because Saturn gives its results over time. So say after the age of 35, whatever problems the native had experienced in life, Saturn will definitely enable the native to come out of those problems, and will help the native move towards spirituality or maybe towards some research. 8th house is associated with research, technology, and even spirituality. That is, even any kind of if Saturn may inspire the native to go to, do some meditation. Yes, the native may turn towards any kind of spiritual activity. That also, because 8th house is also a moksha trikon house. Moksha means spiritual liberation. Then friends, if Saturn is the lord of the 9th house and seated in the 8th house, then some problematic relationship with the father may be there. But if Saturn is in good dignity, then over time the relationship with the father will improve. 9th house is the house of your fortune. So some obstacles will be there in the path of attaining good fortune. But after the age of 35, if the native keeps on working hard, and if the native tries to use the 8th house energy, in his profession, whatever professions we see from the 8th house, that I have mentioned in part 1 of my video, part 1 of Saturn in house 8, what professions are associated with the 8th house. Please watch that video. So if the native uses the 8th house energy in his profession, then definitely, over time, the native will become fortunate, and he will attain good fortune. If Saturn is the lord of the 10th house and seated in the 8th house, 10th house of profession, so ups and downs, upheavals in your profession, the native may have to change his profession. Yes, so he may be doing something for maybe years, but then suddenly he will have to change that, and then he may switch to something else, and then again he may change later. So change of profession, that we can say. And okay, so that is 10th house. And some delay in attaining social status and recognition, some delay will be caused. Then if Saturn is the lord of the 11th house and seated in the 8th house, then some delay in attaining gains, all kinds of gains that you are expecting to achieve from your profession or career. So then Saturn will cause some delay in that. Yes, but Saturn doesn't deny. If you keep working hard with patience and perseverance, you will be able to attain those gains, but there will be some delay, and your desires, all your wishes also will be granted over time. Yes, because Saturn will now cause some delay. And then what will happen? Let us go, and even there may be some problem with the elder siblings and friends also, even because now the 11th lord is in the 8th house. So some problematic relationship with them might be there, but over time you will be able to sort out. Say after the age of 35, if Saturn is in good dignity, the native will be able to sort out. But yes, some ups and downs in the relationship with the elder siblings or friends may be there, is very likely to be there. If Saturn is a lord of the 12th house and seated in the 8th house, so this is again a Viparit Raj Yoga. Yes, because a lord of a malefic house is seated in a malefic house, another malefic house. So because of this Viparit Raj Yoga situation, what will happen? Saturn will restrict all the losses that you could have faced in business or any kind of loss in life. Saturn will protect you from that loss of money, loss of energy, yes, anything, loss of reputation. Saturn can save you from that. Saturn will restrict all those losses. Yes, and also 8th house, 12th house, they both are moksha trikona houses. 4th, 8th and 12th, they are the moksha trikona houses. Moksha means spiritual liberation or salvation. So then what will happen? The 12th lord in the 8th house. From 8th house we also look at any kind of astral travel, deep meditation, that also is connected to 8th house. 12th lord, 12th house is also the house of spirituality. So the native may move even further he may move towards spirituality. Yes, and that will even help him, because Saturn is now the 12th lord. So he will definitely move towards spirituality. That also we can say. And also so friends, 12th lord in the 8th house, this is again, yes, over time the native will definitely get good results. Yes, so Saturn will give good results, especially after the native attains the age of 35. Hidden enemies. 12th house also represents your hidden enemies, your hidden fears. Whatever hidden fear you have, hidden enemy you have, yes, that is also represented by 12th house. Now that is 12th lord is now in the 8th house. So Saturn will restrict all of that. Now friends, let us look at the various aspects that Saturn will have on the other houses of your chart. Okay, so Saturn's first aspect will fall on the 8th house itself, and I have talked about that in the first part of Saturn in house 8. So first aspect I have completely covered there. Please go to that video, part 1. Today I will talk about the other aspects. So Saturn's second aspect will fall on the 9th house. So Saturn's aspect, some problematic relationship with the father initially will be there, but if Saturn is in good dignity, then the native will say after the age of 30, 35, he will realize his responsibility towards his father. And again, delay in attaining good fortune, because Saturn's second aspect is falling on the house of fortune. But if the native believes in hard work, and if he is actually practically engaged in hard work, and if he is making efforts along a certain direction, yes, in a very systematic and structured manner, in a very disciplined way, with patience, then definitely the native will attain good fortune after the age of 35. Then friends, Saturn's third aspect, which is very important from the point of view of profession. So Saturn's third aspect is falling on the 10th house. 10th house is the house of your profession. So this means that, you know, 8th lord, Saturn is seated in the 8th house. So from the 8th house, third aspect is on the profession. So ups and downs will be there in your profession. You can say that change of profession. The native may, you know, change his profession. He may do something for years, but then he may change it. He may switch to some other profession. That also we can say. And in whatever matters, you know, are related to his profession, yes, in those matters, you know, he may see that, you know, there is some delay, because Saturn is aspecting. So Saturn will cause delay in various matters pertaining to your profession. So some delay in attaining a good social position, a good position or a good social status, that also will be there. So some delay in establishing yourself in society. Then Saturn's fifth aspect, which is a trinal aspect, it is falling on the 12th house. So though it is a trinal aspect, but after all it is Saturn's aspect. So some disturb in your sleep. 12th house is the house of sleep. So that may be there. But yes, Saturn will restrict all the losses that the native would have suffered. So that will be restricted. And 12th house. So, you know, if Saturn is in good dignity, yes, if Saturn is in good dignity and Saturn is aspecting the 12th house, then the native also may be charitable, because 8th house is the house, is a moksha trikona house, 12th house is also a moksha trikona house. So that may make the native, you know, charitable towards the poor and needy. He may, you know, help others. He may donate whatever he can, you know, he may donate money to the poor, old and needy. Over time, this will happen only after the native attains a certain maturity in age. Initially, he may not be much interested in donation, and Saturn may even restrict that. But then over time, definitely if Saturn is in good dignity, the native will feel that he has a responsibility. He has a responsibility towards the unprivileged, towards the old and diseased and unprivileged. So he will feel that yes, he has a sense of duty towards them. So that will happen if Saturn is in good dignity. Then let us go to Saturn's seventh aspect, very important, will fall on the second house. Second house is the house of wealth. So the native may not you know, spend much money. Saturn will not restrict, because second house is also the house of money. The native may not spend much. He may be, you know, Saturn will restrict that spending. Even second house is also the house of accumulating wealth. So the native may also encounter difficulty in accumulating, a lot of difficulty in, you know, accumulating wealth. So that also may be there. And then also we can say this is also the house of your speech. So Saturn's is in the 8th house. So the native's speech, you know, may be a little harsh. He may speak whatever is to the point, and he may end up hurting people, especially his family members. That also we can say, as family members and close friends even. He may hurt them with his speech. Then also one more thing, the native may talk less. He may be less talkative, because Saturn also restricts everything. He may even spend less and he may talk less. Spend less money and he may also talk less. He may be a man of few words. That also may be there. And also family members, Saturn may distance him or her from his family, his or her family. He may stay away from his or her family. That also we can say. Or some problems in relationship with the family members, some ups and downs will be there in their relationship. That is, sometimes he may be okay with them, but again sometimes he may not be on good terms with them. So these upheavals will be there even in the family front. Then Saturn's 9th aspect will fall on the, this is your 2nd house, 3rd house, 4th house. 9th aspect will fall on the 4th house. 4th house, the house of the mother. 9th is also a trinal aspect. So, but it is an Saturn's aspect. So the mother may have some health issue, some health problem, or the native may have a difficult relationship with the mother initially, but then over time the differences will be sorted out, because after all it's a trinal aspect. It will make the native responsible towards his mother, dutiful towards his mother. And if Saturn is in good dignity, then the mother also will be somebody who's very disciplined, hardworking, diligent, who's very systematic, who's very organized. So the mother will be such a strict disciplinarian, that also we can say. Some lack of mental peace will be there. Some lack of mental happiness within the home environment may be there. But after the age of 35, gradually the native will be able to find peace and joy within his or her home. That also we can say. Gradually, after attaining a certain level of maturity, he will learn to find peace and joy even within his home. Some delay in having his own assets, that is some delay in having his own house and his own property, some delay, but then he will definitely build his own house after the age of 35. It is also advised that the native should build his house actually after the age of 36 if Saturn is in the 8th house. Then let us go to Saturn's next aspect, that is Saturn's 10th aspect will fall on the 5th house. 5th house is also the house of education. 4th house is the house of school education. So some obstacles or some problems may be there in school education if Saturn is aspecting, but the 4th aspect, the aspect that was falling on the 4th house, it was a trinal aspect. So that actually usually makes this native a very hard-working student in school. But again, this aspect is the 10th aspect, which is falling on the 5th house, which is a karma aspect. So this aspect may also cause the native to face certain obstacles in education, especially in high school education or college education. Some obstacles will be there, some delay will be there in attaining education. Yes, and the native will have to definitely, he'll have to overcome that situation. Or we can say that if Saturn is in very good dignity, then the native will be very disciplined as a student. He will be very hardworking, very diligent as a student. He will be very organized. That also we can say. Then some delay in childbirth, some problem in having one's own child, or you can say a problematic relationship with the child, especially the first child, that can be seen. Or if Saturn is in good dignity, then the child also may be someone who's very disciplined, who's very dutiful and responsible. And also there may be a situation that the child may have to leave the parent and go away, far away to a different place, to a foreign place for education or for job. The child may have to stay away from the native, that also we can say. So 5th house is also the house of creativity and creative artistic talent. The native may not be able to highlight or showcase his artistic talent, especially say after the age of 35 only he will be able to do that. So till the age of 35 the native may not be able, Saturn will delay that. He may have some skill and some artistic talent, but Saturn will not, Saturn may restrict that, and the native may be able to highlight his artistic talent later on in life. So that also may be there. Let us go to the 11th aspect, friends. 11th aspect is 30 to 35% effective in Nadi astrology. It will fall on your 6th house. So 6th house is again a malefic house, so Saturn's aspect is there. So Saturn will now delay and restrict all the negative things that are associated with the 6th house. Diseases, enemies, loans, everything will be delayed and restricted by Saturn. Yes, If Saturn is in good dignity, then the native will have a proper daily routine. He will maintain a proper daily routine. He will be very systematic and regular. He'll be very in all his work. He will be a very disciplined person in his day-to-day life. So that also we can say, if Saturn is in good dignity and its 11th aspect is falling on the 6th house. Then if Saturn is in good dignity, then the native also may have a desire to serve others. 6th house is also the house of service, and Saturn is the planet of service. So the native may have a desire to serve others. He may have that mentality. He may have that attitude of serving others, helping others. That also we can say, if Saturn is in good dignity. Then lastly, Saturn's 12th aspect, it will fall on the 7th house. 7th house is the house of marriage, and Saturn is sitting in the 8th house, which is the house of life after marriage. So it is again casting its 12th aspect on your marriage, which is 20 to 25% effective. So some problems may be there in the marriage with the spouse. Yes, some problems, because after all, as I told you earlier in the first part, that Saturn is the planet of impotency also. So some problems in the marital life may be there. And Saturn is also the planet of separation. So if Saturn is not in good dignity or afflicted, it may even cause separation from the spouse. But if Saturn is in good dignity, then the spouse will be very responsible. The spouse will be very, very disciplined, organized, and the spouse will be very mature, and also the spouse will be a very hardworking and mature and practical person, which will again help the marriage to become successful in the long run. And even the native also will become responsible towards his spouse if Saturn is in good dignity in the 8th house. That also we can say. And the spouse especially will be very, very organized and very mature. So then the relationship, the marital relationship may last. Then it will last. It will become successful in the long run. And Saturn's aspect is also falling on the 12th aspect, is falling on 7th house, is also the house of your profession or independent business. So some obstacles you may have to encounter in your independent business or profession. But if Saturn is in good dignity, or if the native keeps on working hard with a sense of patience and perseverance, then he will definitely overcome all those obstacles, all those difficult times. He will definitely be able to face them bravely, and he will overcome all the obstacles, and he will definitely attain success in his independent business, or in whatever is, suppose he is doing some sort of a partnership business with somebody, he will be able to attain success in that business as well. With time, he will be able to definitely attain success if Saturn's dignity in the 8th house is good. But yes, ups and downs may be there in his independent business. Ups and downs, changes, upheavals may be there. So friends, we can see that Saturn is seated in the 8th house, but from the 8th house, Saturn is aspecting so many other houses of your chart according to Nadi astrology. So it is influencing so many other areas of your life. Yes, so friends, that's all for today. Do subscribe to my channel and share this video. Thank you so much.